Welcome. Our today's topic is, can Valmiki become a poet? Dayachand Mayna. Dayachand Mayna's this article is part of Voice of Contemporary Dalit, a journal under Sage publication. The more of this article is about literary heist. Literary heist in Haryana, and this literary heist can be compared with plagiarism. If we go back to history, we will find T.S. Eliot's most famous poem, The Waste Land, is plagiarized in itself. There are several research articles which speak a volume about it. Similarly, in 21st century, Ian Martel's Life of Pi, a famous novel which also adapted into a movie, is also plagiarized version. Similarly, you could say if in international level, T.S. Eliot and Ian Martels are representing plagiarized work, then in Haryana, several poets are here who did the similar task. In fact, these poets are not responsible directly for any type of plagiarism as they were dead earlier, long time ago. In fact, literary heist in their works is done by their editors, and these editors are responsible for this literary heist, or you could say plagiarism. For example, Lakhmichand is most respected poet of Haryana, but several of his poems are from the volumes of Sultan Singh Rohad. I personally speak to Sultan Singh Rohad's family members, and they say that more than 100 poems of theirs are in the versions of Lakhmichand. Similarly, one poem of Dayachand Mayna was also in the volume of Sultan Singh Rohad, which was later removed from the book. And if we go to another poet in Haryana, Baje Bhagat, which is also another repeated name, he also has at least 8 dramas from Sultan Singh Sastri. As the family member of Sultan Singh Sastri told me that the editor of Baje Bhagat volume come to their home, and they say that they need some poems, and they were given by them, but editor did the corrupt task and he published them under Baje Bhagat, although they were that of Sultan Singh Sastri. If we look at these works, like we are having this Baje Bhagat's volume. This Baje Bhagat's volume is the same we are speaking about, and similarly, if you go about Lakhmichand, then we are having this work with us, Lakhmichand. So these poets are similar in the vein that have taken several works from that, and the works doesn't end here. If we go with these books like Fauji Meher Singh, this is the poet who has stolen from more than 12 poets, and these 12 poets are used or utilized to make the ghost of Meher Singh as the most important poet of Haryana, which is incorrect. In fact, if we look at these 3 poets, Lakhmichand, Baje Bhagat and Meher Singh, these are more of plagiarized poet of Haryana, but no one is going to talk about them, as there are less research and regional writers who read them, and hence it becomes easy for these editors to steal from their works. In one speech or lecture, it would be very hard to check all these writers or poets whose poetry is stolen from different sources. Instead of checking all, we will focus more on one poet, and that is Dayachand Mayna. Dayachand Mayna is born in a Valmiki community. He was serving as a soldier for World War II, from the British Royal Army. Later on, around the time of independence, he was liberated from his service, and then he started this drama writing work. Although illiterate, but he has composed somewhere around 37 drama, or perhaps more than that. Sometime number could be around 50. But out of these 50, we have only 21 as a published. Rest are lost, or in the dust of time they are gone. So all out of them, if we check about Dayachand Mayna's these 21 plays, then more than 5 or 6 plays of that, we can also call them poetic plays, they are stolen by this famous poet Kavi Meher Singh. This Meher Singh is very important poet, and there is an award by Sahitya Academy Haryana to this writer. But if we look at it, then several of his works or poetry is stolen from different 12 poets at least, and around 30 or perhaps more than 30 poems are only from Dayachand Mayna. And if we look at this, then Dayachand Mayna's work are stolen in the same way we are having the famous movie Ocean Trilogy. In Ocean 11, we are having the literary highest of somewhere around 70 million. Then in Ocean 12, the amount was somewhere around 200 million, and in the third one, it was the largest, sometimes 700, perhaps more than that, who knows. But it was the tremendous amount. And similarly, if we look at editor of this Meher Singh, then we are surprised to know that in the first volume, at least 3 poems or might be 6 poems are stolen from Meher Singh, and all begins with this work. And here we have that several poems are stolen, and in that sense, you can say it is the first thing. But that work comes from famous Ramphal Chahal and Raghuveer Singh Mathana. Ramphal Chahal was or is a winner of at least 3 Sahitya Academy Award, Haryana, and the book is important. Even if we look at Ramphal Chahal's this book, and in comparison 2 books of Ramphal Chahal we have, and both are plagiarized. Books or stories are stolen from different poets, but no one take care of him. And even when I talk about the publisher of this book, Sukriti Publication, they say that they are unaware that that these poems are stolen. So no one is taking care. But as I say, oral literature, no one know, these writers are unpublished, and similarly, who cares? And the third book is this one. You can compare this book with the Ocean 13 movie, where the largest number of amount is taken, and this book is that. There are several stolen poems from Dayachand Mayna, and you can make it more like Ocean Trilogy. And but the thing is that how it begins, this kind of literary heist, whether these writers are not popular. Because I remember in refresher course JNU, a professor asked me very simple question about these writers, and like question was, why there was so much heist in their poetry? Were they not popular? Or the other writers they were taken, were they not popular? And my simple answer was, most of these writers are unpublished, and if no one is publishing their work, so it was opportunity for these editors, these true editors, to visit their home, take their work and publish them by their own name, their authors or their popular writers from their own caste or community. And in this way, people or the uneducated or sourceless poets like Dayachand Mayna are reduced to margin, and this is how they lost. But how this literary heist begins? In fact, in 1980s there is a run for competition of Raganis. At that time, what we find, there are stage important singers were called upon the stage, and they sing the poetry, and most of these singers were going for stays in the Jat land, because Haryana is a land of Jat dominated area, and here happens there was unending demand of poetry from Meher Singh, who was itself a Jat, and that's why singer has no other business just to recite their poem, but they do not know from where to bring those poems, so they borrow poetry from Dayachand Mayna and others, and hence most of Dayachand Mayna's poetry is in name of Meher Singh. All because of some singers, and important names are Diler Kharkia and Karampal Sarma. These are some names, and the details which I am explaining is all from this famous and award-winning book, award-winning author. This author received Sahitya Academy Haryana Award, and the book, you can see every detail is fetched from this book, and this make it popular, and Diler Kharkia and so on. If we look at Meher Singh, how he was utilized as a poet, then we have at least 12 or 13 poets whose works are stolen and included in the volume of Meher Singh, and we can just recite the poem Surajmal Bhatgaon's famous poem Saath Rahniya Sang Ke Sathi. It is the Ragini, and Krishan Chandra Nadan के सुपने का जिक्र करूं, and Pandit Devi Dutt's famous poem लेना एक न देना दो, Saghwa Singh's famous poem आधी रात शिखर ते ढलगी, and Pandit Chandgi Ram's Savitri मेरा जी घबरावे, सूरज स्वरूप लाल्स चंद्र दत्त का जिक्र करूं, सरदार तूफान सिंह माँ का राज ना बाप की चौधर, सरदार सिंह इतनी काची बात कही क्यों, मेहर चंद भीतर ले का भेद नहीं, पंडित नंदलाल खड़े आदमी मुंह पे कह दे, उदय राम नाहरीज मत गेल चालिए मेरी रे, बाले राम बालूस बाराज वर्क, न्यारे न्यारे ख्याल जमाना, and last but not least Dayachand Mayna. So these 13 poets are sacrificed to make or establish Meher Singh as a poet of Haryana, and in that sense we can say that was the thing that these editors are doing, and the biggest this haste is possible because of Ramphal Chahal, and the thing happened, the book of Ramphal Chahal, which we have this one, and as the book this Chaapkataiyya is telling us that in 80s, when there was huge demand of poetry of Meher Singh, then on the stage several poet or singers are coming forward and sing the song of Dayachand Mayna by the name of Meher Singh. Later on, the audio cassettes were recorded in their name. On the base of those audio cassettes, this Ramphal Chahal published this book, all with the reference of audio cassette, and this is mentioned on in this book. You can read it more importantly, and later on a similar poet Ramphal Chahal published this book, and this book also contains 8 plays which are from Sultan Singh Sastri, and the name of those plays are Nal Damayanti, Sakuntala Dushyant, Birth of Krishna, Adi Parv Mahabharata, Puranmal, Gopi Chand, Padmavat, Chandra Kiran. So these are 8 plays which are of Sultan Singh Sastri, but they are in the part of this work, all because of this editor, Sahitya Academy Award winner editor, yet all plagiarized. And things doesn't end here, and now you can ask yourself the important question, as Dayachand Mayna was a Valmiki, you can ask what Gayatri Spivak was asking, can the subaltern speak? And simple answer is, if you look at Dalit Panther movement, Mavesi Nara movement of Uttar Pradesh, yes, they can. But the important question is, can Dalit or subaltern become a poet? And answer is maybe yes, maybe no, but who know? if you look at historically, Manusmriti clearly saying in chapter 10, sloka 99 and 100, there is provision that a person can change his profession. And if you check historically, then uh, several people converted or changed their profession. And in Maharashtra's famous Chhatrapati Shivaji was the first known Brahmin perhaps who became a king of Maharashtra. And later on Palvankar Balu, the first Dalit cricketer. And we are having uh, Savitri Phule as the first women teacher, again from Dalit caste. And Ambedkar could be the person become a liar, and so on. And we are also having Om Prakash Valmiki as a novelist. So several Dalit people are changing their profession, but for Dalit, this Dayachand Mayna, it is impossible to become a poet because everyone is looted his work. And we recently speak about how several editors like that of Sant Ram Deswal and this Ramphal Chahal and others have stolen his poetry, but it was not limited to works or books or singers only. This was intensely done in cinema also. If you look at cinema, then Haryana's most famous song Pani Ali Pani Pyade is very important and included in the movie Lado. That is award winning movie from Haryana that come in the year 2000. And that Pani Ali Pani Pyade is from the famous play of Dayachand Mayna, Kalwa Kalidas. This Kalwa Kalidas is nothing but the Sanskrit poet's real life story, or you can say life stories of marriage with his wife and the way he become poet. And that poem is in adapted as a song. But in the whole movie Lado, there is not even a single reference of Dayachand Mayna. This is how he robbed of his future and respect. And that is not limited to one movie. There is another movie, Sanji, that comes in the year 1985, and that include one of famous song of Dayachand Mayna, and that is Badal Uthya Sakhi. This song is from another play of Dayachand Mayna, Raja Dhol Marwan. And still in this movie too, there was no reference of Dayachand Mayna. In the movie Lado and Sanji, Dayachand Mayna is given no importance. It doesn't end here. In the movie, Bollywood famous movie Matru Ki Bijli Ka Mandola, that is in 2013, that movie has two songs of Dayachand Mayna. First was of that uh, Cham Cham Chali Re Ra 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 Ra, that is again from Raja Dhol Marwan. And Badal Uthya Sakhi, Raja again from Raja Dhol Marwan. So these two songs are from the same author who is not given respect. But it doesn't end here. The famous singer Guljar also did injustice to Dayachand Mayna. These song of Dayachand Mayna in the movie Matru Ki Bijli Ka Mandola are under the name of Guljar. Thus, the reputation which Dayachand Mayna deserve is stolen by Guljar. This is how either it is singer, stage, editors, publication, cinema, movies, or singers. Everyone robbed Dayachand Mayna too much. That is why there is a literary heist in Haryana's literature and no one is taking care of it. It is perhaps the first step in English to speak about Dayachand Mayna and his works. And this article which I am speaking is part of Sage publication, Contemporary Voice of Dalit. It will published in some time, might be this month, March, or might be April, but doesn't matter when the article comes, but the thing does matter that a person who is popular for his work must be given respect. And if you like the content, do like, share and subscribe. With this I will say thank you, take care, goodbye.